Hello everybody, and welcome to your early look for today. Today, we're taking a look at a game called Neo Scavenger. Now, if you're an old-time viewer and you've been with the channel for a while, you might remember my indie snapshot of this game, I would say close to a year ago at this point. This was back before it was greenlit. It was just kind of a demo that was barely ever much of a game at that point. And now, about a year later, Neo Scavenger has been greenlit. We're getting close to release. It'll be on Steam, I assume, in about 2 months' time. And I'm excited to revisit it to bring it to some of the new viewers. So if you're a new viewer and you don't know what Neo Scavenger is, quickly, it's a turn-based survival RPG with a lot of kind of text adventure elements involved in the game. You are tasked with being this one person in this post-apocalyptic world with no memory of who you are, and to survive for as long as you can to potentially learn who you are. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that make the game unique. It approaches this genre, and this survival sandbox genre, with a unique twist of its turn-based, hex-based map, and a minimalist art style, but the handcrafted pixel art that is presented is pretty damn gorgeous. So we're going to go right in, we're going to talk about the game as we play, as I tend to do, and I'll give you my opinions, and I will link the Desura link below where you can pick it up now, in the Steam Greenlight page where you can keep an eye on it for when it eventually hits Steam. So we're going to go ahead and hit a new game, and the first thing you're kind of presented with is something that I think needs a little bit of work, but it works in what it's trying to do. It is your character creation screen. It is very pen and paper RPG in the way it's presented, though not nearly as diverse as, say, something like Dungeons and Dragons. You're tasked with picking a bunch of perks for your character, and you could create a bunch of faults as well if you want to pick up more perks. You might recognize something similar in other games like Project Zomboid, and it's the same kind of concept applies to this game. So we have 4 perks that we can pick, and all of them do something fun and unique, and something that makes you play the game differently. So for instance, I could pick Athletic, and this will allow me to do certain things in combat that I might not be able to do if I didn't have this particular trait. On the other hand, if I pick Mechanic, there are going to be options in the game that'll be presented to me that would not be presented to me otherwise. You would be familiar with this kind of thing in maybe like Fallout or any other Bethesda RPG, where if you have a really high certain skill, you can access certain parts of the game that are kind of barred in other ways if you didn't have that skill. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick 4, and I will talk about the faults here in a minute. So we're going through, and there are a lot of them are really, really useful. It's really tough for me to pick one that isn't great, because as I've played the game more and more, all of them have presented their usefulness immediately or shortly thereafter playing the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick tracking, because in a post-apocalyptic world, tracking is going to be really useful, I think, especially trying to survive. I think hacking might be good. We could choose hacking, though Mechanic is also really useful, and so is Electrician. I'm going to go ahead and pick Mechanic. I could take all 3, but since there's only 4 limited, you know, picking one of those 3 is kind of where you have to be. Do you want to be an Electrician? Do you want to be a Mechanic? Because picking both, though, might open up, you know, certain opportunities for you as you play, will restrict your combative abilities later on if you end up not picking any. Speaking of, we're going to go ahead and pick Melee, because this is just a generally a good trait to have. You're higher wound severity, so you're better at hand-to-hand combat. And the last one we want to pick is always a difficult one for me. We could pick Hiding. Metabolism's always good. We take less food and water. Ranged is always decent, which is a higher chance of hitting with a ranged weapon, which would be good if we end up getting a bow or a gun or something. Trapping could be good. Athletic could be good. Medic would always be good. Improved healing rate via procedure training and sterilization techniques. Strong is always good, which we can carry more things. Lock picking is always a good thing. So it's tough to pick, but for the sake of just hurrying things along here, let's go ahead and pick, I'll say, let's go ahead and pick, oh man, see here, I'm saying let's hurry things along. You know, Eagle Eye is good. Let's pick Eagle Eye. I don't really play with Eagle Eye all that often. Now, down here we have, as of right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of penalties you could take, from negative penalties that you could take. If you take one, like so, it'll give you another space for another feat. Now, unlike Project Zomboid, these are really painful to take. There are only 5 right now. I don't know how much modding is going to be allowed, but I assume if there is modding allowed, you could easily create your own. and I assume modding this game wouldn't be too difficult, but the ones that are presented now are really painful, like metabolism. You increase your food and water intake, which is always painful. Myopa is I can only see one less hex than normal, and detecting hidden creatures is harder, but since I took Eagle Eye, I can't take that. We have fragile. Physical wounds, pain, and infections are more severe to you. Healing is slower. That sucks. And insomniac, staying asleep is less beneficial. Difficult, staying asleep and sleep is less beneficial, which is also awful. All of these are really, really difficult, and only if I'm looking to play a very particular playstyle would I decide on taking any of these. But we're going to go ahead and take these. We're going to go ahead and confirm and start the game. So, immediately, this is the screen you're greeted with. Like I said, there's a lot of text-based adventure kind of built in and infused to this RPG, this survival RPG, and this is one of the main screens you're going to be seeing. If you're in a building, if you're during an encounter, this is what you're going to see. You're going to have a picture of where you are, a description of the area, the choices or the options of which you can do in this encounter, and the options you end up making, and then you confirm. On the left-hand side is your general statistics, how many moves I have left. So base moves, a turn is 5, but -1 because I'm barefooted. How well fed I am, well hydrated, well rested. Am I burdened? How comfortable I am, temperature-wise and otherwise. The outdoor temperature right now, and if I'm hurt. How much money I have, because there are civilizations you can trade, and the time of day. All of this is typical survival stuff that you're going to have to keep your eye... excuse me. Ever have those random hiccups that kind of just, like, bubble forth? That just don't stop? Anyway, like many other survival games, it's something you have to keep your eye on. So let's take a look. You wake up disoriented, slumped over the base of an empty cryosleep pod, still damp from cryo fluid. The thick dust from the floor clings to your skin, leaving a clean spot on the ground where a large 05 is painted. So if we take a look over here, it looks like this one right here. Across the room, there is an open door to the hallway and a broken window leading outside. Just as you gather your wits, an unearthly scream erupts from down the hall beyond the doorway. Something is coming. Fast. Okay, so... the game starts the same way every single time. It's always you wake from a cryopod, something's coming down the hallway, you need to react. What your options are can vary every time, depending on your perks that you choose. So we could just jump out the window here. We could rig the door to stay shut, or we could melee and prepare to fight. I am going to go ahead and use my mechanic skill. We could use melee as well. I'm curious if we put 2 here. Usually I only choose 1, but we're going to go ahead and use the mechanic skill to rig the door shut and prepare to fight. So we'll go ahead and confirm. Using a common maintenance override code, you switch the door controls into maintenance mode, forcing the door closed and locked. The creature howls madly, slams into the door, and rams it a few times before its muffled sounds recede again. Alright, so we used our mechanic ability to lock the door. He wasn't able to get in, whatever creature it was. Cool little picture of what it potentially could have been. And now we have a few options here. We can do tracking, because we could search for clues. We can climb out the window. We have Eagle Eye to notice some details. And we could search the console for records. So let's just start from left to right, excluding the jumping out the window here. We'll do some tracking. The dust on the ground makes it easy for your trained eye to pick out one set of tracks in particular. The tracks belong to a humanoid dragging something, probably a mantle or cloak. It was here fairly recently, probably in the past 24 hours. It entered through the doorway, walked to your stasis tank, then to the control console, and then left again. You'd bet good money based on the creature you just faced that it wasn't the dogman who made these tracks. Okay, so it's already telling us that there was a dogman attacking us. I'm curious if this is something because alpha, because we never saw what it was, and I think this particular line should be taken out if we don't combat the thing, because we could have fought it, and spoiler, you'll end up winning, and you'll see it was a dogman, but by shutting the door, I don't know if this line should be here. Could be because of beta or alpha or whatever this game is currently in. But something walked up to our tank and then looked at the console records and then left for whatever it was. So we'll go to the console records and take a look. You check the console for any patient info. Come across 3 records. Anton Blubber, and then some emerging context where they live. Me, Tank 5, Philip Kindred, account number, Detroit Savings Bank. So I assume we're in Detroit right now because everybody here is from Detroit. And then Lloyd Blank Check. Awesome. Interesting. If we do tracking again, it'll just tell us what we did before. But we'll use Eagle Eye because I really don't ever play with this, and I don't know what this is going to do. Something catches your eye as soon as you scan the room. Obscured in the shadows behind tank number 2, it looks like something small metallic is lying on the floor. Upon closer inspection, it appears to be a multi-tool pocket knife, probably left behind by maintenance personnel ages ago, and nobody saw it since. Whoever left it here, you're pretty sure you don't need it as much as you, so you decide to take it. So we found something. This happens when you scavenge an area. You get something put in your inventory. You probably saw something fly off to the left. What we can go ahead and do now is click on Review Received Items, and this is going to be your character. And we ended up grabbing a Pearson Ravager Multi-Tool. It's a $50 value. It has 100% condition, and we can go ahead and click on this and drag it to a hand and hold it in our hand. So this is your general kind of character screen. This is us right now. We have nothing on us. You're going to have foot slots, body slots, hand slots, head slots, neck slots, ring slots, and a backpack. Very D&D in my opinion. I like it a lot. Very pen and paper RPG, or just RPG in general. And since we have this multi-tool, we can go ahead and click on it. We also have a tag on us that if we hover over, tells us our name. We could take it off if we wanted to, but we'll keep it on for now just so we know. And we have a hospital gown, which we could take off, but there's no point. We might as well keep it on right now. It's keeping us clothed at the very least. Now, one of my bigger complaints about the game that I don't know if it'll ever be addressed is that the UI, the GUI for this game is a little bit on the confusing side. So, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me. Oh. So bless myself. Thank you. Oh, for a second I didn't think I was going to show up. Anyway, the GUI or the UI is generally a little bit of an unorganized mess. I don't know. I think it's a little bit confusing. I tend to get lost in it a lot. We can open close items here. We have a campsite, our vehicles. All this stuff will be present. We don't really have a campsite right now. But as we go to the main menu and the main map, things kind of I get a little lost and a little confused. It's just not well presented and not well explained as to what's going on. It's a minor complaint and one that generally you'll get used to the more you play the game, but I don't particularly like it. So this is just our open and close item screen, the camp screen, the vehicle screen, of which we don't have one right now, and this is our skills and abilities over here, and this is our encounter screen, which is this right here. So we're going to go ahead and leave. We might as well leave at this point, and there's no reason for us to stay here. You decide to go outside and see if you can figure out where you are. Avoiding the broken glass, you step onto the sill and outside, rustling some plants that have grown wild in the area. It's cool outside and damp, probably morning. You're in the parking lot of a cryo facility, but everything looks disused and in disrepair. Plants have pushed their way through the pavement and over the facility. Worst of all, nothing looks familiar. You don't remember this place or even who you are. Your frustrations mount, but you catch it and put it in check. Might as well take a look around. So, we obviously have no idea what happened the last time we were put in cryo sleep. Even if we remember that, much time has passed. So that much is presented. So here we are presented with the hex-based map, how much we can see. Now that general starting point, just like that is the only thing that is, or one of the very few things, should I say, not necessarily the only thing, that is the same every time. Because the map, as soon as you play, is randomly generated with the exception of a couple of landmarks that I'm aware of. That I haven't actually seen those landmarks, but I read that the certain landmarks are the same, like a big city to the southeast, if you can get there. But other than that, the starting conditions, aka the weather, is randomized. The map layout is completely randomized. Tiles are randomized, so you're going to have a very different survival experience every time, which I'm a huge fan of, especially for a game like this. If you're not going to go the Zomboid route where you're going to handcraft it and you're going to do something like turn-based RPG, I think randomization is okay. If you're doing something real-time like Zomboid, handcrafting a world is something I prefer, but this is something I really like, and I think it'll work really well, especially for something that you might end up dying a lot in and you want a lot of replayability out of. So, this is the map. We can go ahead and click on this to show the main map, which is zoom out, and this is the size of the map as it is. We can kind of move around. As you can see, it's gigantic. This is a very small area. We can use a scroll button to scroll through what we're using as a weapon. We'll go ahead and back into the map. Over here, we're going to have when you see a magnifying glass, it means it's scavengeable. When you see a crate, and I think that means there are items there, something that we can kind of learn. As you move, certain tiles will take more movement out of you, like hills and forests typically take more. How your health is and how cold you are also determines how quickly you can move around. But it's at this point now we need to consistently start scavenging and looking for stuff to survive. Food, water, all that good stuff we're going to need. Over here, you're going to see red footprints. That means you've left tracks behind that will fade over time. You can spend a turn to cover your tracks if you are being tracked. There are raiders and monsters all around the world, and that's just how it goes. So let's play a little bit more, and we'll see what ends up happening to us. So we're going to go over to this little city. As you approach the town, there's no sign of activity. Buildings stand in ruin. Vehicles are overturned and blackened with fire. Explosion marks radiate outward from walls and pavement. In the distance, strange-looking creatures circle in the sky like monstrous, leathery vultures. That's terrifying. The world has drastically changed from what you knew. Some sort of cataclysm has befallen Earth, returning mankind to the Dark Ages. And along with it, your hopes of finding a warm meal and some answers. You decide to look around and scavenge what you can find from the ruins. And here's a picture of what it looks like. I like it. I mean, this is all hand done. I think the game has been only done by one guy. But generally speaking, I really like what it looks like. Things look really cool. He does a really good job with the artistic vision here. So we'll go ahead and confirm. So we have all of our options over here. We can run, which is going to make us move more, I think. Hide. I've never run. Hide tracks. Spy. If there's a creature around in one of these tech spaces, we could spy on the creature. And we can scavenge. We're going to go ahead and scavenge for anything useful here. And we have two buildings we can scavenge. A storage shed and a destroyed office building. I thought that said of Feist building. And then we can just stop scavenging. So let's go to the office building. We can confirm this. And it looks like loot is going to be low, but the safety and the sneaking ability within the office building is good. This office building is in ruins, and it's unlikely much survived its collapse. The creaking walls and ceiling are no boost to your confidence either. Still, that may mean no one was brave enough or perhaps desperate enough to go in there. We're going to go ahead and go in. We found a bunch of stuff, so we found some stuff. Wow, we found a lot of stuff. So what did we find? A tarp. Which is actually going to end up being very useful. We'll leave the tarp here for now, though. A medium-sized branch from a tree. Handful of some string, some dirty rags, which I'm not entirely sure we could actually do anything with. Broken bottle, which might have been a good weapon if we didn't have anything. Honestly, we didn't find anything that good. We found... the tarp is actually going to be incredibly important, so we're going to go ahead and grab that tarp for now. And I'll show you why in a little bit. Shard, lots of stones and pebbles, generally useless stuff. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here and confirm. And we're going to go ahead, and we still have 2 moves left. We're going to go ahead and scavenge the storage shed. We'll go ahead and confirm that. And we have a little bit higher chance of finding some loot, so we'll go ahead. But we found no items in there. Unfortunate. So we have 1 move left. What we're going to go ahead and do is head back to the cryo facility, and I'll show you why. So approaching the facility strikes you with a pang of anxiety. The creature you encountered here, will there be others? The dark windows offer no answers. You gather your courage and climb back through the window. Alright, so the reason we want to come back is because one of the things you want to do is start setting up campsites, because as time goes on, the weather's going to drop, you're going to become wet, hungry, and things are just going to generally be worse off for you. So you need to find a place you can spend the night. And this is a really good starting area to have your very first campsite. And the reason is the room it provides. So we'll go ahead and back in the cryo chamber, you still feel echoes of panic that gripped you. However, that time has passed. Maybe it's time to look around again. So we can go ahead and go down the, explore the hall. Though I don't know what would tracking do. Well, oh yeah, that's the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and explore down the hall. Outside the cryo chamber, there's a debris-filled corridor that looks disturbed. Or disused, rather, not disturbed. You climb over piles of refuse and rubble and come across a blocked doorway. A plaque on the wall reads Exam Room 17. Forcing the barricade aside, you peer into what looks like a clinic exam room. While there appears to be a little worth looting, this room looks like it might make a great hole-up site. So this is why I'm coming back. This is a nice campsite we can come to. So we're going to go ahead and confirm. We can pop this open, just take a look around. We'll go ahead and confirm. And we're going to have 3 options. We can return back to the cryo chamber. There's an electrical panel, and there's an HVAC system. We'll go to the electrical panel, and the circuit's pretty fried. It takes someone with electrician skill. So we didn't take the electrician skill, so we can't actually do anything with this. But the HVAC system, because we're a mechanic, this thing is still operational. The air is cool now, but it looks like you could reroute some of the airflow across some of the power conduits to warm it up a bit. You need something to divert the air, like a tarp, plus some small parts to fasten it, and something to crimp the fasteners. Yep, that looks doable. So you probably saw something go over to our inventory, and we did get something. It's a scrap of paper that gives us a list of things that we need to make the HVAC system a heated HVAC system. So we need a Phillips head screwdriver, the mechanic skill, 1 large non-rigid sheet, 4 small mechanical parts, and an HVAC unheated. So the large non-rigid sheet, before it used to say tarp, I'm assuming that'll work, the tarp. We'll go ahead and leave the tarp here in our campsite. So we have the sheet now. Not only that, we have a campsite. So if we take a look, available campsites, which is the one we want, We have the ability to sleep in here now, and we can store stuff in this campsite. And actually, I want this. This is not... I want... This is any old spot on the ground I don't want. So, like I said, the GUI, the UI can be really confusing sometimes. Right now, I'm curious why this is kind of confusing. So we'll go ahead and exit, and we'll just leave here and see if we can mess with the campsite a little bit. I want to use this campsite right here. Can we take it? There we go. So I actually had to take it, and this is where we could drop some stuff. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put this in our campsite. This is considered our campsite now, which is good. We can't actually do anything else. All right, good. So we used our campsite here. We have to end our turn now. We are out of moves, so we'll go ahead and hit end turn. And we are shivering, which is really unfortunate because we are very cold. So we need to start looking around for potential stuff. So we'll get on top of the hill here. Oop, there's a deer. But if we get on top of the hill over here, we'll be able to look around. So getting on hills is good. We're out of turns now. The couple of deer, actually, which is we might want to try and kill. Up ahead, it looks like there's some sort of abandoned car. This is something we saw on top of the hill. This happens every so often in these events. It's covered in filth. What glass remains is almost opaque with grime, so it's been here a while. Hard to tell if anything's inside from here. The door on the side is open, though, and it looks like a tattered sleeping bag spills through the opening. That's actually really good. We need the sleeping bag. So we have a couple options. We can throw something at the car to see if something maneuvers, or we can just use some tracking to see signs of activity. There's definitely a lot going on here at one point. The vandalism alone is a testament to that. But you see little to suggest this vehicle was recently occupied. Looking at the sleeping bag, you wager that someone crawled out of it from its orientation, or maybe they were dragged. Alright. Let's throw something at the car. You pick up something that you could toss and lob it at the metal husk, ducking out of sight. There's a hollow clang as it hits and rolls off the roof. Things seem to get quieter for a few moments after. But soon the ambient critter noises resumes. No sign of movement. Alright, let's grab the sleeping bag. It's filthy, and you shudder to think of all the things that might have lived here over the years, but its warmth and not freezing to death beats hygiene any day. So we now have a sleeping bag, which we can just kind of... I don't even think we can wear, but we can carry with us, which is really good. That's going to keep us warm. We have severe hypothermia, so we want to start heading back to our campsite at this point, I think, and stay warm there. So let's go ahead and confirm. We're going to go ahead and leave the car at this point. And, yep, now we're getting cold, so we're going to go ahead and head over here. Pop open the campsite. We want to drop things on the ground here. And then here. Now, the question is, am I using this? We are comfortable. Is in a campsite with an average sleeping bag. I'm assuming he's just using it automatically. So if I wanted to end turn, will I still get hypothermia? I assume the answer is no. We're going to see if we end up starting warming. Yeah, we're warming up. We're warming up. So we're going to spend some time here and warm up as our character before we move on. The rain and the clear skies is actually giving us good vision. We have a little city over here. But we're going to go ahead and... you are comfortable. You know what? Let's start exploring. See this little crate thing right here. I don't know what that crate thing means. That bothers me. I don't have any idea what that crate thing means. And since there's no tutorial, I have no idea at all. But that's fine. Oh, we have to end our turn now because that's all the moves we had, unfortunately. We have to go back to our campsite. We definitely don't want to burn anymore. We only have 2 turns. So let's go ahead and actually just end our... Oh, we have a raider swinging around. Let's go ahead and end our turn and hopefully warm up as these raiders end up showing up. We could sleep, but as you are defenseless when sleeping, sleep in a safe spot. But since we are in an area with an enemy nearby, when you sleep, you can only sleep for 1 turn at a time until the enemies are gone. Let's go ahead and spy on this guy, the bandit. He has a hunting rifle with a scope and a strap. He's following my tracks right now. So he is kind of hunting me. We'll go ahead and sleep a little bit. Let's get out of here. Let's end our turn. We're going to have to wait till these bandits hopefully leave or end up fighting each other. We're just going to end up warming up during all of this. We have 3 bandits nearby. That's crazy. Kind of crossing my fingers they don't end up showing up near me or coming to me. We could try and attack one. Let's take a look at this guy. Hunting rifle strap, and we don't know what he's doing. This guy is a raider. He has a hardened weapon. I don't know what that means. He's strong, tough, and he's barefoot. He does see me. Does this guy see me? He doesn't. This one does not see me. So let's see what ends up happening. If they come to me, that's fine. Bring it on. Nothing. One turn. They're all deciding. So they all work on their own AI, of course. Things kind of happen. They move around a lot. They do their own thing. Monkey wrench. We could try and attack one of them. Let's do it. Let's go. So I'll show you some combat. So this is the combat screen. Very pen and paper RPG and how it's presented. So you have your character on the left with what weapon you're using, and the character on the right with the weapon he's using. Your conditions, his conditions, and your options in combat. So as you choose, you can see how far away you are. I should cover the middle thing first. This is how far away you are from the enemy. The best cover is low. Weather is cold and cloudy, time of day, and the terrain type is treacherous. All here are options you have, such as offer your surrender, you give him everything. Desperate retreat, regular retreat. When you do a desperate retreat, you're much more vulnerable than a regular retreat. It's kind of like you use a move action in D&D or a full withdrawal action, one safer than the other. Fallback is move one space. Run, move a bunch of spaces, you're a bit more vulnerable. Take cover, demand his surrender, threaten him. Or dodging and advancing and charging. So one of the things you want to do when you are fighting these guys, it's not so much. The combat is not so much about hitting the enemy as much as dodging his attacks and then hitting him when he becomes vulnerable. You want to be much more defensive in combat. So we're gonna go ahead and charge him and try and get closer to him. Player charges at Raider. We're very easily exposed when that happens. Raider charges that player. We're charging each other right now. Down here is the combat log as to how everything goes on. So we're just charging at each other. You can picture us just running at one another. I'll do one more charge. And then what I'll do is I'll start dodging here at 8 spaces away as he comes closer to me. He tripped on his way over, but we're not quite close enough for me to take advantage of that. I could have charged him there. Alright, he's two away. So now that he's 2 away, what I'm going to go ahead and do is start parrying his attacks. He's using melee, so am I. So I'm going to try and parry him. Raider rolls from the dodge player's attack, which I didn't do anything. Raider is dodging, so he's dodging as well. Nothing's really happening. Raider gets up. Player parries his attack. Raider's exposed for an easy attack at the moment. So he charged at me, and now he's exposed to an easy attack. So we have 2 attack options here. I can do a melee surge, which will give me 1 to 3 attacks, and has the option of stunning him for a turn. And I automatically lose my next turn. Or I can just attack him and not lose my next turn, which is what I'm going to do. There's no point in me doing a melee surge pretty much ever unless he's already stunned for the turn after. That way, when I lose a turn, he also loses a turn. And the chance of stun is not worth risking, in my opinion, getting attacked. So we'll go ahead. Raider tries to attack the player but misses. Player attacks Raider and hits. Player grazed Raider's upper right arm with a multi-tool blade. He is now bleeding, which is good. He's bleeding here. I'm going to go ahead and parry his next attack then. Player parries Raider's attack. Player is parrying the next attack. Raider tries to attack but missed. We'll keep on parrying. So Raider is bleeding. I parry. He attacks and misses. So not very exciting. Player parries his attack. Raider tries to launch a flurry of attacks but misses. He is now in a state of he's stunned for a round essentially because he just did the melee surge. So we'll go ahead and do a regular attack. He is now bleeding. Player attacks the Raider and hits. I graze his left arm with a multi-tool blade. He is still bleeding. We'll go ahead and do that. I parry his attacks. Player is parrying the next attack. Raider tries to launch a flurry of attacks but misses. And now he once again is stunned. So we'll go ahead and stab at him again. Player attacks Raider and hits. We graze him again with the multi-tool blade. So he has 3 cuts on him. It's somewhere along the line. I wouldn't be surprised if he attempts to run soon. He once again attacks and misses. He's open for an easy attack, which we will go ahead and do. And I hit him again this time I hit him in the head, and he's bleeding in the head. We'll go ahead and parry. He missed me. We'll go ahead and parry again. We could demand a surrender, see what ends up happening. Player demands a surrender, but he tries to attack me and missed instead. Player needs a moment before recovering. Okay, so hang on. There's a lot that happened here. Player parries Raider's attacks. Player is parrying the next attack, making them hard to hit for a moment. He headbutts me. I need a moment to recover after the headbutt. Player has fallen to the ground and must regain footing. Player is exposed for an easy attack. So I lose my next turn because he successfully headbutted me. He's still bleeding though. I'm in a little bit of pain, as you can see here. That's not a huge deal. He smacks me with a monkey wrench. We're going to go ahead and do a roll dodge. Player's dodging out of the way. He missed me. Raider's fallen to the ground and must regain footing. So we both have to get up now. We both get up, so we can now go ahead and do some dodging. I think. Yeah, I'll do some dodging. So I do some dodging. He misses me. He needs a moment before attacking it. I'm going to do the melee surge because it's going to give me the opportunity to do a lot of damage. It's a risky thing. I wanted to do it, though, because he was going to be stunned next turn anyway. So we'll go where the end of turn is. There it is. The player launches a flurry of attacks and hits. Player needs a moment to recover. Raider is exposed to an easy attack for a moment. I hit his head, his lower chest, and his stomach with the multi-tool blade. Raider's bleeding. Alright, good. We can now just do a regular attack. He's really hurt, so I'm going to just try and open up on him at this point. Raider tackles the player. Raider's fallen to the ground and must regain footing. Raider is exposed. Player's fallen to the ground as well. I'm also exposed. We both need time to recover. I hit him, and I hit his upper right leg with the multi-tool blade. We wait. Raider rolls out of the way, dodging an attack. I'm just going to get up. We both are up. I'm going to go ahead and parry. He missed me. He's open for an easy attack. We'll go ahead and smack him. How is he doing? That's one of my complaints about these fights as well, is they take a really long time. They're very, very intricate in how they work. I'm now tired. He's bleeding. We'll go ahead and smack him with a surge. Player is tired. Raider is bleeding. Player tries to launch a flurry of attacks but misses. Now I need time to recover. I'm bleeding internally and I'm coughing up blood. Player is stunned and unable to move for a moment. Player is in minor pain. Some activities are affected. End of turn. End of turn. We'll do some parrying. I parried his attack, making them hard to hit. We will... Raider is exposed to an easy attack. We'll go ahead and do it. Raider smashed player's right leg with a monkey wrench. I'm bleeding internally. Player is stunned and unable to move for a moment. I attack him and hit. I grazed his upper chest with the multi-tool blade now. Uh-oh, I'm unconscious. Raider is bleeding. He attacks me and hits. Raider is pounded his right arm with a monkey wrench. Player is bleeding internally. Player is unconscious. Player has fallen to the ground and must regain footing to continue. I'm exposed for an easy attack. I'm passed out from unbearable pain. Raider is bleeding. I am unconscious. He's checking my body for loot, so he's just looting me at this point. Player recently changed attack modes. There's a sudden... Whoa, what's happening? There's a sudden roar and a rush of dry air as blinding blue-white light bathes the area. Formless darkness begins to appear from within, and soon it emerges an impenetrably black silhouette, endlessly casting off fragments of itself. Orange burns from its center, pierced by the scattering of black fragments. It's already moving by the time you can resolve its shape, and its crude chalk-white face is fixed on you. What just happened? This has never happened before. So he checked my body from loot, and all of a sudden this horrifying thing shows up. And obviously the Raider runs. As it starts closing the gap towards you, you notice its mantle of blackness dragging on the ground, like those tracks at the cryo facility. Okay. Uh-oh. What is this? I've never seen this before. What is this? Player's exposed for an easy attack. I need to wake up. I think I'm still unconscious. Did the game bug out? Player's bleeding. And I died. So, alright, so imagine, if you will, I got this multi-tool knife, right? I'm in a gown, I'm freezing, I'm desperate for food, for gear. I see this Raider walking by, so I go at him. And I think I can take him, and I'm grazing him, I'm winning the fight, but he gets a really good headbutt and knocks me to the ground. I can't get up. He smacks my chest with a monkey wrench. I start bleeding internally. I start to die. He kicks me again. He beats me until I'm unconscious. He doesn't want to kill me. He starts looking for loot, and all of a sudden this creature shows up and it scares him off, but doesn't actually do anything, and I pass back out, and then I die from brain injury. I'm basically brain dead. The end. And that's how quickly you can die in Neo Scavenger. all in all, for a really early game, and this is obviously not going to be everybody's type of game, but for this type of game, and definitely one of my favorites, I love this game and its concept. There's not a lot as far as graphical representation as to what's going on. It's a lot of text-based and reading, but if you have an active imagination, and you can just accept that this is what's going on, if you're a board game fan, if you're a pen and paper RPG fan, you're gonna like this game. My biggest concern, of course, with these types of games is the limitation on what kind of things you can end up doing, because it's, there's not really a DM there to twist and turn with the decisions you end up making. There's obviously not going to be an infinite amount of choices you can make, but from what I can tell, to see how much work this guy has put into this game over the past 2 years, I think there's going to be a lot of options there, so I'm really excited to check it out. I might end up doing more on the channel if you guys demand it. We'll see what the demand is, but it's really, really good. You can pick it up on Desura now for $10. It should be on Steam. I think the target is sometime in January. We'll see. This has been Neo Scavenger, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is definitely a game that the survivors are going to enjoy, as there's no horde to be found. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.